It is hard to be a woman. You have to think like a man. You have to behave like a lady. You have to look like a young woman or a girl. And you have to work like a horse. It's a little bit of a polemic one, but it kind of summarizes quite a bit in the mindset many of us grew up, including me. So having like these different roles, all these different expectations, which are kind of exclusive even, and trying to hold these polarities, and at no point in time ever showing that this is tough, that this is painful. And this is a little bit like this idea of being a strong woman, like growing up and being strong, living in a society which is dominated by masculine values like success, like performing, not showing how hard it is, not like being true to ourselves, and at the same time embodying also the feminine qualities of nurturing, of caring, of being kind, of being receptive, looking good. And it's just an impossible thing to do, and that creates a lot of problems on the long term. Does that sound familiar to anyone? But how would you embody strength? How would it look in your body if you're thinking about yourself as a strong woman? You can let yourself inspire by the definitions which the dictionary gave, like this, like power to resist force or the capacity of endurance. Show me, how does strength look for you? What are you doing in your body when you're doing strong, or really being a strong woman? You can try out different things if you want. But what I'm curious is, what are you doing in your body when you're doing strength? Stay in the embodiment. Just answer for yourself for a moment. We're coming to some reflection and sharing in a moment. But stay in whatever you are doing in regards of strength. And what are you doing? Grete, whatever resonates for you when you hear strength. I consider it, or I don't want to frame it too much. So it can be inner strength, it can be physical strength, it can be both. What you're doing in your body, making myself bigger. Does that feel familiar for you in any way? Like when you're doing this tensing or grounding or breathing or going into fight mode, centering, smiling, is that familiar for you? Is that something you recognize you're doing more often in life? Or is it rather unfamiliar? Also interesting, could you do it for a longer time? And is there maybe a place in your life where you need more of that? Being strong is a skill. It's neither positive nor negative, but it is a skill. And no one can be strong all the time. But if we're associating strong with being good, that also means we can't be good all the time. That's quite triggering, not being good enough. Was embodying weakness the opposite of embodying strength, or was it different for you? Looking back at how you embodied strength and how you embodied weakness, was it actually opposites? Or was it somehow different? And that's kind of this thing, like strength can't live without weakness, and weakness can't live without strength. So putting a value on either or, putting a value of this is positive and this is negative, doesn't make any sense, because they're like two parts of a coin. And depending on the context, depending on the situation, we need both. Sometimes we need strength, but sometimes we also need the access to weakness. And yeah, someone wrote yin and yang, exactly, because being weak doesn't mean you're weak in every area of your life, in every area of your body. There's always a piece of strength. There's a piece of grounding. There's a piece of authentic self in that. The same with strength. The art is to have access to both without overdoing it, without doing it automatically because it's expected and we're conditioned in a certain way. Can be a way how trauma manifests, especially this low case trauma. Like we're bracing ourselves, yeah, we're bracing ourselves, we are becoming strong in order not to feel the weakness, the vulnerability, the tenderness. And it becomes very, very uncomfortable. Understandable because we never practiced it. But it's very twisted that this like low case trauma actually leads to strength. It's a vicious circle. And that's something I wanted to highlight here. And as an ending, I'd like to do an exercise of bringing a little bit kindness towards ourselves, towards all the different shades we have, all the different shapes, all the different parts of us, of being strong, of being weak, of being vulnerable, of being tender.